Hello everybody, this week I've got two special 1 Series themed videos for you to enjoy, and these are being made with the assistance of my fellow YouTuber George Osters. Now he is a man who is far more mechanically minded than myself, and he also shares a passion for slightly overlooked BMWs. In fact, he owns not just a 760 Li but also a 130, and that's the car that we're talking about today, because his 130 is a couple of years older than mine, and in BMW land they're a very important couple of years because his car is a pre-LCI, life cycle impulse. That's what BMW call a facelift. There are a number of differences between the pre and post LCI cars. Notably, you couldn't actually get a 3-door in the pre-LCI. It's one of the reasons I got a later car. The infotainment is also a little bit better in later cars. You've got nicer versions of everything. There are some interior trim differences too, so stuff like this door card here is sort of scratchy, hard plastic, whereas in my car it's just a little bit softer and a little bit nicer. And there are of course the usual cosmetic refinements as well. But there is one big ticket item which is a source of much debate, and that's the fact that when BMW facelifted the 1 Series, they took away its hydraulic steering and they gave it an electric rag. And if you've seen my videos on the 1 Series, you'll know that the steering is one of the things I really don't like about that car. Of course, most people online would automatically assume that hydraulic steering, good, electric steering, bad. And that's not actually the case. Now, I've sampled quite a few different cars, as I'm sure you'll know, and some certainly reinforce that viewpoint. After all, Honda S2000 steering, electric, and very bad. The 991.1 generation 911, electric steering, and it was pants. The 997 generation, hydraulic steering, and it was wonderful. McLaren's hydraulic steering, brilliant. There are cars though that do buck the trend. For example, the Alfa Romeo 4C, no power steering at all, and it wasn't really very good. In fact, the more you modded that car, the worse it seemed to get. But the Lotus Elise then also had no power steering and is some of the best you will ever experience. The new Ferrari F8 has electric steering and is actually quite enjoyable. So it's not always the sort of hard and fast yay or nay that you might think it'd be. Until now, I've actually never sampled an earlier 130i. In fact, I've not driven any beyond my own, so I was very grateful to George for coming all this way down, especially when I had promised him a twin test with my own car, which unfortunately is no longer here, but I will make it up to him at some point in the near future. So, with traffic clearing, let us now try and find out whether hydraulic steering in the 130i really has the transformative effect that everybody claims it does. The short answer is no. Is it better than the electric steering? Yes. Is it lots and lots better? No. No, it's not. And here's the thing, and this is where I'm going to upset an awful lot of people. BMW steering is really brilliant. I've had some good steering BMWs. My E92 M3 was a joy, as is the standard E92 M3. Mine was quite modified. That's a decent steering car, especially when you consider that it is a big old barge. But there are plenty of other disappointments too. My Z4M Coupe was yet another example of a car where things didn't quite work out how they should have. That had hydraulic power steering rather than electric. And M Division also ditched the run-flat tyres to put proper ones on, and yet still that thing had absolutely atrocious atrocious handling. It just didn't work at all. I've done a great big long video recently talking about what handling really is, what steering feel means, and in truth, this 130, for what it is, handles and drives very nicely. It drives like a really good BMW. There is a nice weighting to the steering. You get just a little bit of feedback and feeling through it, but it's not wriggling in your palms, it's not darting all over the place. It's not a 911 GT3, nor was it ever going to be. I think that kind of steering would just be frustrating and annoying. I'd say it's a little more consistent than the electric rack. Gives you a little bit more feeling as to what the car's doing, but not masses. This one isn't on exactly the same tyres as mine. In fact, this is on Michelin Pilot Sport 4, so they're going to be somewhat better in these conditions than the Michelin Cross Climates that my car's wearing. It's still a lovely car to hustle along this kind of road, but if you're looking for the last word in steering feel, I'm afraid you're not going to find it here. And that's okay, because that, like I say, is the case for pretty much all BMWs, even the much lauded E46 M3. Now, I've not yet driven a CSL, that apparently is a bit different, but the E46 M3 just doesn't steer that greatly, and I know. I can hear the pitchforks being sharpened when I say that, but it's just true. You drive an E46 M3, then you go and drive a Lotus Evora, or even a very good 911, anything like that, and the steering feel is night and day different. It's ridiculous how different those cars are. I know it's coming across like criticism of the BMW, but the simple fact is, I think for what this is, BMW did okay. So if I were keeping the 1 Series, one of the things I considered doing was maybe actually swapping it out for a hydraulic rack. Now, how possible that was actually going to be, or how easy and cheap it was going to be, I don't know. I never got that far into it. But having now driven this car, not sure it's something that I would do. I'm quite confident that there are ways to get a little bit more steering feel out of this car. Change the suspension, change the bushings, change the geometry, do all sorts of stuff. But by the time you've done that, you've probably then lost a little bit of this car's kind of real appeal, which is its all-round ability. If you want to make it hard and fast and sharp and agile, like, yeah, great when you're hustling it, but when you want to sit on the M25 for a couple of hours, not really going to be that entertaining. So if you are on the fence for a BMW and you're looking at a post-LCI car and are worried the steering's going to ruin things, I probably would say not to worry too much. And if you are thinking about buying yourself a 1 Series in general, well, I highly recommend checking out George's channel, where he's going to go into a lot more detail about this car than I ever could. And we've also filmed a special little look at the 130i with a few points for anybody wanting to buy one, and that's going to be the next video to come out. So I hope you've enjoyed today's very brief but hopefully somewhat informative video. Please like, comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.